Entering different realms with Bach Flower Remedies is today's theme. And for those who know that I'm quite a grounded person, but grounded does absolutely not mean unspiritual. And so I want to dive into a more spiritual topic today because I think it's very relevant. I think it's very beautiful. And it's also very personal to me to talk about Bach Flower Remedies that way. And this is a side of myself that I kind of want to share a little bit more about. Um, because I think it's very relevant. A lot of people write me, specifically practitioners, they want to know everything about the Bach Flower Remedies, and they are really so interested in how they work and the case studies and such things. But I do not think that a really good practitioner is not necessarily someone who knows how to solve case studies or, by the way, sorry for my drunken red nose, but I was on the mountains, and so, you know, it was very sunny, and I love sun, so, and my nose is quite big, so that all the sun rays just were on my nose, and now I look like a drunkard. You have to do it with, anyway. So a lot of practitioners, they're always very worried about what is the right combination. Can we have some case studies? And even if I do think that they're very important, specifically when you start with more basic level Bach Flower Remedies, as in, you look at it like the client has overthinking, people pleasing, feelings of guilt. We give them sweet chestnut, centauri, and pine. I, of course, think like that as well because, that's just how it works. You have the feelings and then you match the remedies to it. I do think that this is a very reductive way as well to work with the remedies. I think it requires much more from you as a practitioner or from you as a self healer if you're working on yourself and just matching the remedies to the the emotions to the remedies. And of course, you have some cues to work with, which are very helpful. But then when we start to have, let's say that that you are people pleasing, you will take Centauri. But let's assume that you have a lot of stress at work. There is not such a remedy as stress at work. You have to already understand what are the feelings behind this. The person might be a people pleaser, that would be Centaur. Maybe the person is very perfectionist, that would be rock water. Maybe the person represses their own desires or kind of doesn't really want to confront, which is agrimony. Maybe there's oak in it as well, overworking, never, endurance. And this becomes already a little bit, here you become already a little bit more like a seasoned practitioner where you don't work with the cues, but you start to understand really what is asked of the person in the situation. But I think it's very important to start at the beginning with the cues, then to read a little bit more between the lines. But then there's also such a huge other dimension that I don't want to leave out. And this is somehow why the course, because I have a course for that, why the course is as it is. I didn't want to make a course with cues because you can just read them online for free. It's very easy. Bach Flower Remedy for overthinking, white chestnut, and so on. So you don't need me for that. You don't need anyone for that, really. What I really want to offer, what I really think is very important, is to go deeper with yourself. Like I say, being a good practitioner requires something else than just knowledge. It requires sort of an experience. And if you don't have that experience, like I was blessed at that time, doomed, I would say, but I was blessed with a lot of bad experiences that really give me a good insight and problems that, some people might not have these experiences. But you can still be a really good Bach Flower Remedy practitioner or a good self healer if you learn to really listen and sit with yourself. It is so incredibly important to work on yourself while being a practitioner, to experience things yourself while being a practitioner, to recognize things in yourself while being a practitioner. I recommend every practitioner taking this course, not because I made it, but because I think there is something very valuable in understanding yourself. And I think the best healers, or the best people who help others heal, or the best self healers, are people who study themselves. And with studying, I don't mean, that's maybe a really unfortunate word that I picked there. What I really mean is you need to understand yourself, but not even in an analyzing kind of way. We always tend to do, I feel sad today. What does it mean? Why am I like this? And that's already wrong, because you're already you're already judging yourself. Think of it like this. I put my hand on the stove. Yeah. And what happens? It freaking hurts. Luckily, because if it wouldn't hurt, I would burn my hand right off. And it's exactly the same thing what happens with our emotions. Someone says something that hurts you, that is a signal. So there's no need to say, oh, I'm feeling bad and something is wrong with me. No, your being is working the perfectly as it should work. It is signaling to you something like, oh, I didn't really like that, or something about this remark that was unsafe for me. Maybe this is not a good person to hang around with, or maybe my boundaries are a little bit weak. I need to work on that a little bit better. But that's not even the topic of today, because sometimes I always try to make my videos to the point, but I see that sometimes I need to make some detour to get to the point. These are really, working with Bach Flower Remedies is so much more than working on your emotions. It is so much more than working on your life path, working with your past, working with your future, working on ancestral karmic trails. You're working with the universe. In quantum physics, we know that there can be two things that don't seem to have anything to do with each other, that are very connected with each other, because there is no such thing as time and space the way we perceive it. So everything is really connected to everything. And working with Bach Flower Remedies, what I've learned over the years is that a seed that was planted maybe a long time ago can now become a really beautiful big tree, and things are influenced in a way that you can't even, no matter how good you are as a practitioner, you cannot foresee everything unless you're super clairvoyant. And even so, I used to work a little bit as a medium. I can't foresee everything all the time. That's just not how it works. And when you're entering in the world of Bach Flower Remedies, you're really connecting your own vibrational field, your subtle body, with the subtle body of the plant. So you have beautiful spiritual dance between you and the beautiful flowers. And these flowers are kind of, checking your energy. They're kind of seeing things, feeling things. And then they just kind of merge with your energy field to do something beautiful there. And so it is impossible to fully capture what is going on with Bach Flower Remedies with rules that are, 4 drops 4 times per day is a really good example. It is a very, very good rule. It's so helpful. But it is a one rule fits all. That one rule really fits all. 4 drops 4 times per day is the minimum required dose that you should take, and in which you would have normally Bach Flower Remedies working on your vibration. However, maybe you would be fine too with 2 drops 3 times per day, or maybe it would be even better if you would take 6 drops 4 times per day, or 4 drops 6 times per day. Nobody can really know that, but it doesn't really matter. We're not aiming for perfection. We're aiming for improvement. We're aiming to understand ourselves. And again, with understanding ourselves, I don't mean let's just analyze. That kind of kills the process, because it already comes with a judgment. Why am I like this? You need to think a little bit more. Excuse me, Carl Jung. Sit with yourself and let things rise. Sit with yourself and let things rise. Look at yourself from a distance, as if you were watching your child and you see your child is struggling with something. Would you be like, what is wrong with you? Why are you upset again? What can I do to make you better? You would be like, oh, I see that my child is, is not feeling good. What can I do to help? What does it mean? You're there's sort of more of an openness, a kind of forgiving spirit if you're working with other people, rather than, oh, I need to fix this. And so this is something very important, whether you're working on yourself or working with clients. Know thyself, get to know yourself, but in a beautiful way, not in a way of, I'm a psychologist and I'm going to study myself, in a way that requires time, in a way that requires, you can learn so much about yourself with some techniques in a short amount of time. But deep knowledge grows with you. It's not a finished, something that suddenly finishes when you've read a book or when you've watched a video. It's something that works with you, that grows with you. And this is something I found that a lot of people are struggling with. They want something finite. I have this and I'm going to work on that. And you could totally do that. I've got rid of my phobia for spiders. I've got rid of my anxiety for driving in the city. I've got rid of so much guilt and people pleasing. And sometimes another layer open and almost looks like you're leveling up, and then you see the deeper layer of that layer. The beautiful thing is that the Bach Flower Remedies really meet you where you are. So if you are feeling a lack of confidence and you have a lot of fears, you take large and mimulus, and then your problems are solved. That's perfect. There's no judgment there at all. However, what most often happens, specifically with Bach Flower Remedies, people are, when they find the remedies, they're probably already self-aware. Now, the more self-aware you are, the more you're going to notice things. Problems, images, patterns, programmation, like I like to call it. You'll see. Interesting, I always have these sort of problems, and they are not random. Not saying they are your fault, but there is a pattern. There is a pattern that is created around you, around your energy field. And if that is an unpleasant pattern for you, if it's a detrimental pattern that influences your life in a negative way, do something about it. Don't stay like this. I mean, Bach Flower Remedies, here I needed a bottle of Mimulus. I paid €6 for a bottle of Mimulus. I don't know what it is in the States. I think it's a little bit more expensive, quite more expensive, but still we're talking about $10 here. And for some people, yes, of course, that might be much, but for most people in the West, healing can't really be cheaper than that. In fact, in a way, it's free because you can make Bach Flower Remedies yourself. You just need to have the flowers and the right moment, etc. But I'm just saying that it doesn't require millions and millions and millions. Now, we also have to be honest with ourselves. Very difficult to heal yourself alone with no guidance at all. I've done it. I'm still doing, because again, it's not something that suddenly stops and now there's always something else that you can heal. Maybe it's more self-improvement at some point than really healing trauma. But there's always things that you can improve on yourself. So where you want to stop or where you want to go is really up to you. But it is very difficult to do that alone. I have done that, and it took me quite some years. And you don't want to wait years, of course. Time is precious. Your life is precious. You have to be realistic. It's not going to be tomorrow that everything is solved. But of course, you also want to invest time, effort, and sometimes money in having someone guiding you there. But start with one remedy, and understand that you're not just healing difficult emotions. You're not even just working on long-term patterns and programmation. You're entering a beautiful, deep conversation with the spirits of flowers. That is such a beautiful, honorable thing to do. And I think there is not enough emphasis on that part of the Bach flower story. And that's really what I wanted to say today. If you feel stuck in your own healing process, again, I love that you come to my masterclass. It's live online. There's no replay. Should be a live thing. There's good energy there. And there we're going to look at your first steps to get yourself unstuck, better said. If you've been struggling with sort of patterns that you have, or you feel that you've tried so many things and there's just no moving forward, or you find yourself blocked very often, I will clarify why I think that is. You'll have 5 deep insights. You'll also leave with tools to start your healing process. 3 tools. You'll leave with your own starting point, and if you want to work with Bach Flower Remedies, you'll also have your own healing remedy formula that you can use. And you can ask me anything afterwards. And most of the time, we're kind of with a small group. This isn't for big audiences. We're with a small group, so you can really totally come and ask me what you want to ask. And I'll be very happy to answer. And I'll also extend you a special invitation for those who come, because I really appreciate that you've come. And I'm really very happy with that. It's amazing that we find each other in this crazy digital world in front of a freaking laptop talking about something so beautiful and important and healing ourselves. I never wanted to have anything to do with the digital world. I never wanted to have a YouTube channel, but I see that my path is towards bringing something very deep to the surface of the digital world. Because, like it or not, it is part of our future. And I'm in a way very honored to do that, even if I find it a little bit like, oh, now I'm on YouTube. And that's my path, apparently, and I will take it, and I will do my best to bring what I have to give. You have nothing to lose. I don't want to sound gloomy, but you are going to die anyway, and you know that life really requires everything from you. It will take everything you have. It wants everything you are. The question is, are you going to give it, or are you going to die having given 80% or 50% or 20%? In the end, you're going to die. You have nothing to lose, really. This is your life. It's so important. Whatever you're doing, don't stay as you are. Whether you want to join me in the coaching program side by side, whether you want to join the course, whether you want to stick around here, come to the free class, whether you want to watch videos, start with the remedies. Start with one remedy, the one most important for you, the one that calls you so loudly. Don't start to overthink, what remedy combination is this? They are harmless. If you don't need them, take the wrong one, nothing happens. They have no contraindications. Start. Give yourself time. Take them for a month and just watch what happens. The only thing you lose is the $10 or the €6 of the Bach Flower Remedy, which is very little damage done if it doesn't work. Now, if it doesn't work, I don't believe that they don't work. I've never had a student or client who said, I didn't feel nothing. So it depends a little bit on your awareness. Did you take the right remedy? Did you take them consistently? Sometimes the situation has to present itself. If I'm scared of something and it's not presented to me, then I don't know if the remedy has worked, for instance. And anyway, I really just want to encourage you to do something here. The world is not purely material. This is not really all there is here. This phone and the screen and everything. And just, there is so much beauty in that world. No matter how creepy and how difficult and how hateful it sometimes seems to be. Sometimes I'm like, why am I here? What the hell, Sometimes the pain is so unbearable. The pain in my own life, the pain in other people's life, the pain for animals. And yet here we are. And if we want to make this world good, we have to be at our best. We really have to at least try. And I urge you, please just try. Thank you so much for being here with me. I love making this video, and I hope to see you in the next one.